aprendimos a quererte desde la histórica altura donde el sol de tu bravura le puso un cerco a la muerte. Aquí se quedará clara la entrañable transparencia de tu querida presencia, comandante Che Guevara.
Ernesto Che Guevara, the Argentinian-born Marxist theorist, was a major figure of the Cuban Revolution. He was named by the Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people of the 20th century. In June 1959, aged 31, Guevara was sent by Cuba's Fidel Castro on a 3-month tour of 14 countries, including Egypt and the Gaza Strip in Palestine, to share revolutionary leftist aspirations against Western imperialism. This picture shows Guevara with a number of Egyptian officers and Palestinian officials in the Gaza Strip. When it was administered directly by an Egyptian military governor, the Gaza Strip is a small slice of the eastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea, bordering Egypt on the southwest and Israel on the east and north. It is 45 kilometers long and from 6 to 12 kilometers in width, with a total area of 365 square kilometers. 2/3 of Gaza's population are refugees, ethnically cleansed by the nascent State of Israel since 1948.
My father told me before he died that Ernesto Che Guevara visited Gaza in 1959 during a regional visit that included 14 countries, including Egypt, where he met leader Jamal Abdel Nasser, and then came to Gaza, where he was received by Ahmed Salim, the Egyptian military governor. He was in Gaza for one day to explore the area. He tried to link his beliefs and struggle with the Gaza Strip, which was under occupation and oppression, and to put in place a strategic plan to stage a popular struggle and fight the Zionist occupation forces. However, he could not stay in Gaza as he had to go back to Cairo, from where he went to the Congo.
Following the occupation of historic Palestine in 1948, about 750,000 Palestinians were forced to flee their homes and land and seek refuge in the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and neighboring Arab countries as refugees. According to information obtained by the Middle East Monitor, Guevara toured some Palestinian refugee camps in the Gaza Strip, where he was welcomed with a chant supporting the Cuban Revolution.
Ernesto Che Guevara was a revolutionary leader. He visited Egypt and met Jamal Abdel Nasser, and then he visited the Gaza Strip and met many officials. His visit was aimed at supporting the Arab and Palestinian National Liberation Movement to end the Israeli occupation of Palestinian lands and stand up to American imperialism, which has strong ties to the Zionist movement. Che was an example for all Palestinian activists, and many Palestinians named their sons Guevara after him, especially Mohammed al-Aswad, known locally as Guevara of Gaza, who was a military commander for the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine and for the Israeli occupation forces after the occupation of Gaza in 1967, before being killed in 1973.
As a result of his perceived martyrdom, poetic invocations for a class struggle, and desire to create the consciousness of a new man, driven by moral rather than material incentives, Che has evolved into the quintessential icon of leftist revolutionary movements. Palestinian activists had been inspired by the legacy of one of the greatest revolutionaries in the 20th century, Che Guevara.
The victory of the revolution in Cuba in 1959 sent shockwaves across the globe. It was an extraordinary military achievement. At that time, the Arab region was going through revolutions against colonialist powers, especially the liberation movement in Egypt, which was called the United Arab Republic at that time, and was led by the pan-Arab nationalist leader Jamal Abdel Nasser. Guevara visited the Gaza Strip to show solidarity with the Palestinian people and cause. One of the goals of the visit was also to apply the experience of the Cuban Revolution to the land of Palestine, to oppose Israeli colonialism and occupation, which began in 1948.
As his death is marked each year in his home country of Argentina, Guevara remains a transcendent political figure and a popular icon of rebellion.
Since the start of the struggle against the Israeli occupation of Palestinian lands, activists were not only inspired by Palestinian figures, but also by revolutionaries like Che Guevara. His struggle went beyond the confines of geography. His vision and desire to fight oppression stretched across the whole world. So, when he visited Gaza in 1959, he came to check the possibility of starting or leading a popular struggle against the Israeli occupation. I produced a film about the story of Muhammad al-Aswad, a Palestinian fighter who was known as Guevara of Gaza. He was inspired by Che's idea of revolution and adapted his guerrilla warfare tactics.
Guevara, who was summarily executed by Bolivian forces in October 1967, remains both a revered and reviled historical figure, polarized in the collective imagination in a multitude of biographies, memoirs, essays, documentaries, songs and films.
I'm proud of my name. My father named me Guevara after the revolutionary hero Ernesto Che Guevara. I have studied and read his life story and about his experiences against imperialist powers, how he stood by the poor and oppressed nations. The legacy of this man who visited the Gaza Strip is still alive.
Palestinian activists say that Che's message was that the Cuban Revolution was possible to replicate elsewhere. The high contrast graphic of his face has become one of the most universal images.
I think Che Guevara has come to represent everything that the Palestinian people aspire for: equality, justice, freedom. But he has also come to represent the antithesis of Zionism and nationalist bigotry. And I think that the Palestinian revolution has learned a lot from Che Guevara, starting from the guerrilla warfare tactics in the 60s and early 70s to the revolutionary ideas that have inspired the BDS movement as well.
Since his death, revolutionary leader Che Guevara has become a legendary political figure. His name is synonymous with political revolution. Yusuf Al-Hilo in Gaza for the London-based Middle East Monitor.